skeleton crew tonight, so it's cool. It's cool. I got TikTok in the building. I got Facebook in the building. What's up there, everybody? Listen, welcome to another episode of the Mad Lucrative Podcast. I'm the host, the one, the only Magneto 7 in the building. And it's been a minute. We're in the middle of a few transitional periods. I'll say that. Shouts out to S Dot to the J. He's good. If anybody from YouTube asks for Sean J, he will be back. But Sean J has some things going on. But nevertheless, welcome to another episode of the Mad Lucrative Podcast. I am trying to get some of my notes together. So I noticed one thing in 2022 and 2021, because we're working on 2 years. In June, it'll be 2 years for the pod. And I noticed that a lot of our listener base from YouTube are fellas. And can I say they hurting? I feel like some of the fellas are kind of hurting, and they're in the space where they just want to be talked to, right? And when I say talk to, not in like a weird type of way, but just in a space where it's safe, right? I think what's happening right now with society, manhood is being challenged, and not only challenged, I feel like it's a lot of just back and forth where people are wanting men to not be men. That's how I see it, right? So tonight's subject is the disposable man. The disposable man. I wish when y'all watch this back on YouTube, it'll have a bomb drop like right there. It'll be a bomb drop. But anyway, disposable man. And the reason I want to talk about this is, yes, true. The Mad Lucrative Podcast is a lot. We talk a lot about musicians, artists, producers, and I'll tell my TikTok people, shouts out to everybody who's looking on TikTok. So the original premise of the Mad Lucrative Podcast was to teach musicians how to have secondary income and how to benefit their lives and how to have healthy relationships, how to be lucrative in their mind, thoughts, body, career, life, finances, right? Being mad lucrative all the way around, be a well-rounded, lucrative person. But I noticed some of our conversations might not have been lucrative conversations, which I'm cool with. Like, I love dumb conversations too at times, but I think where we are now, we really need a lot of positive reinforcement, because I notice everybody just seems like they don't care about the next person. You say, what we talking about? We talking tonight. I'm trying to look at your name. Lotto, I think that's your name. I can't see it from here. But we're talking about the disposable man. Are men disposable? Are men disposable, right? And the reason I want to say, we'll talk about it. I want to say yes, but I don't want to say yes right now. I feel like the idea of a disposable man comes from a impoverished type of mindset, right? Impoverished type of mindset. But nevertheless, let's jump in. We're gonna jump in. Why do most people view men as being disposable now in 2023, 2022? Now, I'm not here to attack women. I'm gonna let y'all know that up front. So when y'all see the clips go out, I'm not attacking women. That's not the motive. But I will say, I noticed that a lot of women that kind of look at men, they look at men from a disposable standpoint. What I mean by that is this: men is an option, right? Just as a woman can be an option, I get it. But I think with the new age man, shots out. I'll say he's my great uncle, but he's not my great uncle. But like some of the views that Kevin Samuels had when he was living, I agree with some of those views. The method, no, I don't agree with the method all the time, because I mean, being harsh and rude to a woman is not necessary. Like, it's just not necessary. But yes, do people view men as disposable? All right, I'm gonna tell you this. This is the case that I'm building, right? This is the reason why I say possibly, right? Possibly. All right, so one thing I saw that 3 out of 5 men are more likely to do self-transitioning. I'll say it like that. 3 out of 5, right? So then I started thinking about everybody that we look at, like Twitch, Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, Don Cornelius for the old school heads. And I think all of these people were successful people, right? All of these people were successful people, but they self-transitioned, right? Then I think about the M cases. I'll say the M because I'm trying to phrase my words so I don't get demonetized on YouTube. But the M cases, like the Tyreek Nichols situation that we just saw, George Floyd, of course, Trayvon Martin, of course. And I'm not just naming black people just to name black people, but I'm just using these as examples for why I feel like people are viewing man as being disposable, right? So I was watching a clip. I can't remember how old the guy was, but it may have been something from like the 70s that I was watching. But he was saying how when the government came in and gave women the option to not have the man in the household by way of WIC. What's the other stuff? Y'all remember the other stuff? I can't think of it. Not Social Security. Anyway, I don't have no help in the studio. But the government stepped in and they acted as like the secondary husband. But in order for the woman to get the financing to help support the kid, the husband could not stay in the household, right? I know y'all heard about that. I know you heard about that. So that's one case of being disposable, right? And then Section 8, thank you, Section 8. But that's one way of being disposable as a man, because before that, of course, I know everybody's heard about slavery and all that stuff, but in slavery, that was the harsh times, hella harsh times. But the families were sticking together. Everybody was trying to just make it. And I saw one clip, again, this might be clipped up too, but one clip where they were talking about how, if you look at everybody from the 60s, 70s, then 80s when the cocaine, I was about to say pandemic, but epidemic started, the black families were dismantled. White families happened too. I think what happens is a lot of the way the government has displayed images and imagery for this is what black folk look like. This is what white folk look like. Y'all, hate this person. You hate this. Everything, something happens to everybody. Something bad happens to everybody. It just is what it is. But the way we go about resolving the issue or whatever it is, that kind of differentiates between groups. But whatever. So that's one or two options why men are disposable in society, right? And then you look at how many of the guys that self-transitioned may have had broken households, but they were super successful. And that's another point. This is another point. I feel like now, if you leave the live, I understand. I get it. But a lot of my views come from a Republican standpoint, right? And the only reason I'm that way is because I grew up from a Democratic standpoint. And I'll break down the differences. When I was growing up, my family would say, well, everybody got to be Democrats. And, if you black, you Democrat. Sleepy Joe said that too. If you black, you Democrat. So for me, I started asking questions like, well, if we Democrats, then why are we broke a lot of the times? Why are we not able to save money? It seems like the friends that I would go to school with, because I went to a mixed school, white and black, all through elementary, middle school, and high school, white and black the whole time. And a lot of my white friends, we would go to their houses, nice house. Like, you might have a swimming pool in the backyard. Like, wow. Like, what? So, and then if you look at the dad's beliefs, a lot of the dad's beliefs is, well, I'm Republican and this, and this why. So I look at that, look at this, and then I would look at how my mom struggled to provide for me because I was, again, in a single parent household, right? So I'm just looking like, okay, what's gonna be the change? What's gonna be the change? And what I started doing years later, like I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 in November. But years later, I started practicing certain principles from my Republican counterparts. And guess what? The quality of life for me and my family became better because I started paying attention to my business. I started paying attention to how I treat people. I started paying attention to different relationships, even with me and my wife. Like I would just pay attention to everything, like, and be anal about it. Like, yo, why we do this? Why we do that? Why we spend this much money over here? And why we do this? Now, of course, no woman wants to hear that. I get it. But that took me into the space of feeling like I'm responsible. Even in college, like I was one of the guys. I ain't gonna lie. In college, when the financial aid would come, you take the most that you could take out, get a loan, get a student loan, and then whatever the money's left over, you go blow it. Go get some Timberlands, get some Jordans. Like I was that guy. I can't lie. But I think that feeds the disposable man, right? The disposable man, right? And I'll tell you this. This is what my view of this disposable man is. Let me paint the picture, right? Said Tim's. Yeah, Tim's. The disposable man to me is the guy that goes and he has a 9 to 5, which nothing wrong with 9 to 5. I still got 9 to 5, right? But goes to his 9 to 5, wait for every 2 weeks to get the paycheck, and then, after he gets off of work, he goes drink, go play video games, chill for the rest of the day, and do it all over again. And then by the end of the year, he's hoping that he might get a refund check so he could go on vacation and do some other stuff, right? I'm going to answer that question. But he goes and do that, and then 20 years later, he tries to figure out, oh, you know what? I'm alone. I want to get me a woman. This is where the women come in. But this disposable man type of mindset goes and tries to find a woman. Voila, he finds a beautiful woman. He wants to marry her. And he looks up and he's trying to figure out, okay, why can't I afford to go on a date with this woman that I met because I really value her and she's dope. Like, I want to be with her. Guess why? Disposable man has disposable practices, right? Disposable men have disposable practices. That's how I look at it. A disposable practice: buy a new car. Well, not even buy a new car. Rent a car or lease a car over and over and over and over and over, knowing good and well it would be cheaper just to go find something used and drive it and then re-up and just save your money, stack your money, all that stuff. But anyway, another point. 1 out of 4 boys are growing up in America without men in the household. And I feel like the way we're going is just going to keep getting fed over and over. It's going to get fed over and over and over. Another point, 57% of black children are growing up without men in the household. Now, that's 57.6%. You also got 31% of Hispanic children growing up without men in the household, and 20% of white kids growing up without men in the household. So what that tells me is we're just going to keep the narrative going over and over. We're going to keep it going over and over. But it's like, what are we going to do differently to change how everything is going? Like, I feel like we got to start paying attention to everything overall, not just, I'm going to say, the surfacey things, right? The surfacey thing for me would be anything that's not going to cause you to have a higher quality of life, right? I think the earlier guys start to understand the concept of assets, liabilities. That's why I love EYL Network. I love them. But the more we start to teach those things over and over, I think the faster we'll start changing up how guys view, I'm going to say, finances, or how guys view women, or how they view marriage. Speaking of marriage, I know we just saw Lala's comment about marriage and how her friends are, all her married friends are unhappy, but all her single friends are happy. This is my counterpoint to that would be this. I would like to ask her this question. If all of your married friends are unhappy, right? Which I understand how they could be unhappy, but if all your married friends are unhappy and all your single friends are happy, why? I just want to know why. If you ask me, I feel like the married friends are unhappy because there are certain parameters that's been set within their relationship that they shouldn't cross. That's one. If all the single friends are happy, I feel like they just out here doing whatever they feel like doing. There's no recourse of anything. Like, you just smashing. I'm not cussing this season. But they just out here doing stuff as single people. So of course you're gonna be happy because you doing whatever you feel like doing. That's one. Now, in the words of the late great Kevin Samuels, if you're in this age in this demographic where you're unmarried and you're happy, what does that look like in your 50s, 60s, and 70s? I know a lot of people say they don't care. I get it. A lot of people say they don't care. You're lying, though. I know you gotta be lying. Because I just think about my personal family, right? And another thing that I've noticed that was a reoccurring subject with Kevin Samuels was he'll ask the women, he'll say, okay, so if you happy and you single right now, who are you expecting to take care of you when you get to be old if you are raising your kid in a single parent household? Right? You're going to be dependent on your kid. And guess what? That is true. I'm one of those. Again, my mom grew me up in a single parent household. I love my mama. My mama is amazing. Right? I love her. But I got a wife and 2 daughters now. So if something happens to my mom 2 states away and I have 3 women in my household that I have to take care of, who you think I'm taking care of first? Right? And a lot of people say that's foul, but I think that is one of the consequences of growing up your kid in a single parent household. And a lot of this, let me take that a step further. A lot of these decisions are made on purpose. Right? Now, granted, my dad was a terrible dad. They got in fights and all that stuff, so I get it. When it's domestic violence, leave. Just leave. When it's verbal abuse, leave. When it's something that you can't do, something that I'm going to say therapy can't help, leave. Like, leave immediately because it's not healthy. It's just not healthy. But again, the single parent household feeds what? The disposable man concept. The disposable man. All right. So then I would like to ask this question. What is the culture cultivating when it comes to the disposable man? Right? I'll wait. I got TikTok over here. I got Facebook right here. Shouts out to all of y'all. Shouts out. But what are we cultivating with the culture when it comes to the disposable man? I'll tell you one thing. I know all of us have seen the City Girls. Listen, okay, let me give y'all, for the new listener on both platforms, I am a music producer. That's all of my 20s, I produced Eminem, 50 Cent. I was a part of feeding the beast, I'll say. I was a part of feeding the beast. I got a Grammy off of it. Thank God. But that was feeding the disposable man. So now we're looking at the City Girls. We're looking at Megan Thee Stallion. We're looking at Lotto. We're looking at all these women that have influence when it comes to how women view men. What's Ice Spice? I think that's the girl's name. The Munch. The Munch. Eat for lunch. Right? I get it. But what does that look like for our world? I'll say it's not just America. What does it look like for the world in the next 30 years? right? These are just questions I want people to just think about, because I think the more we ask those questions and we cause conversations to happen, I think we will get into a healing space. But I feel like it ain't nobody that's out here that's loud. Nobody out here is loud. I want to let somebody on live, but I can't because I got too much going on. And it's a short man crew in here. But anyway, that's one thing. Another thing, what are we valuing, or what are we placing value on when it comes to relationships? I'll let you into my life a little bit, right? So me and my wife have been together for 2008. I always have to do the math on camera. And I know she'd be like, dude, what are you doing? But 2008, we dated for 3 years. Then we got married. And so 2008 to 18, that's 10, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Sheesh, almost 15 years this year, right? And in those 15 years, we've done a lot of growing, right? The way we communicate is different. The way we love on each other, not just sex, but just being emotionally attached in a good way, has changed. When we had kids, it changed again. It wasn't vacations all the time. It wasn't going out here, this, and that. It's just different. But I think what's happening is, like, even in my broke season, when I got dead broke, I was like hella broke, like broke. And we stayed together and worked through it and got up again, right? Nice house, cars, and all that stuff. But I think what's the culture that we're cultivating and where we're placing value is not relationships no more, right? I feel like we got to get into the space where because it's not just a disposable man. Men are starting to look at women in a disposable way too. But it's a little bit worse right now for the men. It's a little bit worse for the men. But why are we placing so much value on, I got to have me a 6-figure man? I got to have a 6-figure man. Listen, I ain't touched 6 figures until 3 years ago. It took a minute. It took and what I just tell you, I'll be 40 in November. It took a minute to touch 6 figures. It took mindset. I had to start. I'm gonna challenge everybody too at the end of the pod. At the end of the pod, I'm gonna put out a challenge because I want to see how many people do it. Women, you are welcome, and fellas, y'all got to do it. But anyway, so why are we putting so much value on being a 6-figure person if you're only making $20,000 right now? Yo, go from 20. 25, 30, 35, 40. Now, it ain't got to be slow, but just gradually work your way into the space where you're self-sufficient and you're living and you're happy. Like, it's okay. You ain't going to touch 6 figures right out the gate unless you're selling drugs. Don't sell drugs. But, yeah, why are we placing so much value on financial stuff? How about we place value on what's the character of this person? You know what I mean? What does it look like for me and this person to just sit in a room and enjoy each other? Are we able to conduct the conversation without this over and over? Like, that eats me alive now. Y'all, my wife on TikTok is Shamia Crawford. Y'all probably seen a lot of her videos. She's like up. But anyway, like, does it take this over and over? Do you have to do this over and over? Or do you both set time to put the phones down and connect like humans? Because I know, I'm going to put this out there. I know all y'all done seen The Flower. The Flower is wreaking havoc in relationships right now. I know you've seen it. Fellas, I know you've seen the stripping robots. Now, the stripping robot's a little bit weird right now. It's a little bit weird, but I get it. Like, right now, it's just a metal robot dancing and going on and grinding. This is weird. It's hella weird. But wait till they put that Pamela Anderson skin on that jump. Huh? Wait till they put the Megan Thee Stallion skin on the robots. Fellas gonna be so like, Yo, putting the money in the robot slot. But anyway, again, what are we placing value on? Are we placing value on relationships or not? What are we doing? What do most women view men as? This is a point that I wanted to ask the women. I see we had a few on TikTok. They be in and out, but it's cool. Facebook. What do women view men as? Cause right now, it's not good. Right now, okay. If you ask me how a woman views a man right now, I would easily say disposable. Easily, that's the first word that comes to mind. When a woman sees a man these days, he's disposable. Now, I'm not pigeonholing that concept to black men either. I'm talking about white men. I'm talking about Asians. I'm talking about Africans. All of the demos. The men are disposable. Let me give you a hint. This is why I think of why I feel like women are viewing a man as being disposable. If say you meet a man or a man meets a woman and they fast track it, and 2 years later they get married, they have a family, have this and that going on, and everybody's up. The wife has a Benz, the husband has a Land Rover. They stay in a I got tea right here, but it's just me. But anyway, got a Range Rover, Land Rover, stay in a $250,000 house. Well, nah, that ain't nothing now. Stay in a $500,000 house, and something happens to the man, right? He gets sick, as a lot of men can. In the man's mind, we automatically think, okay, I got to figure out what I need to do to make sure I get the finances come in over and over so there's no drop-offs. The man automatically thinks that. If you ask me, that's from a man's standpoint, when you get into safety mode, you have your family in mind. Any good man is going to have their family in mind when something bad comes up. But all women aren't looking like that when it comes to that man getting sick. I've seen where the man gets sick and the woman's like, well, why are you sick? You need to just get up and go to work. Tough it out. Ain't you a man? That's problematic. For me, it feels like a woman looking at a man like a car, right? I feel like that's a man. Exactly. It's like a man looking at a woman. A woman looking at a man as a car. You know, this car is reliable. I love this car. This car is dope. I love when people see me out with this car. This is a good analogy. But I like when people see me out with this car, and when I go to Lenox, because I'm in Atlanta. So if I go to Lenox, I go to Atlantic Station, wherever, this car and me looks good together. But if this car starts breaking down, then we got some issues, and I might need to try to trade this car in and get another car. That's how I feel like a lot of women view men, right? And the reason is it goes back to, what are we cultivating in the culture? Are we cultivating, all right, something happens to my partner, I need to try to take care of them. Like the wedding vows, till death do us part, rich or poor, better or worse. Like, are we trying to practice that? Or it's like, nah, he'll munch. He'll munch. Get him out of here. He's done. I ain't got no use for him no more. He don't work like, again, what are we doing? I wanted everything that we talk about on our pod I want us to get into the point where we have healthy conversations without being defensive, right? I think a lot of us have good intentions, and I'm giving a lot of folk credit because I know some folks that ain't got no good intentions, but I feel like a lot of us have good intentions when it comes to how we view relationships, but it's kind of weird right now. It's kind of weird. All right, on to the next subject. We still on the disposable man. But how are us men processing how women view us? I want to ask TikTok that. I want to ask Facebook that. How as men, how are we processing that? How women view us? Because I think it comes out in the music. Everything, I feel like everything about life comes out in music at some point, and it gives space for, I don't understand it, but it gives space for every idiot to have a voice. Same thing as Twitter. I feel like Twitter is one of them platforms where people can just say what they want. They feel like saying. Like, I saw the most racist thing said to my wife, right? The most racist thing said to her on TikTok. But we're both like, yo, it's a buffer between us and the internet, so who cares? Like, just erase the comment. It's nothing. Or go back and forth if you're feeling spicy. I'm a Scorpio. She is too. If you're feeling spicy, just go back and forth and have a funny conversation. But I feel like we are letting the internet control everything. And I got some clues for y'all, yo. It's, if y'all paying attention to how everything is starting to move, right? It's lining up. I ain't gonna get into conspiracy theories and none of that tonight. Come to the next pod, I might talk about that, but not tonight. But everything's lining up for the average person to not be able to control nothing. You got everything automated, right? You have no cash. You have no car. You have no car. You got Apple Pay. I ain't gonna lie, Apple Pay be hitting because I be using it on my Apple Watch. I love Apple Pay, but it's like, at what point does convenience become problematic? At what point, right? And I think a lot of us are running towards it because we're not paying attention to it, and we're not paying attention to it because we like this. And again, I'm not putting blame on nobody. I'm even taking some of that credit. Like, yo, I have been in a space where I'm just on the phone 24/7. I get it, but we got to watch out for this stuff. On to still with the disposable man. Still with the disposable man. Are we doing what we're doing to ourselves? Are we reinforcing the women treating us like they treat us or how they talk about us on purpose? You got to think about that. Are the women just reacting to how we already do to ourselves? Like what we do to ourselves. Are the women reacting to that and they just giving us more of what we're doing? It's conversations. It's conversations to have. Another thing, how has the media encouraged men to view themselves as disposable? The media plays a role in this too, right? I ain't saying no names because some of them might be monetizing this video. Thank you for the sponsorships, all that stuff. But think about it. When is the last time you heard a song that was not encouraging trauma, right? Not encouraging drama with a D, and spend as much money as you got. Anything negative, a negative reinforcement. How much of that have we heard on all streaming platforms, on radio? You just think about it. If you think about it, and then also think about this. How many songs have you heard about love, peace, or good motives, or progression? Right? Not that many. Now, if we want to divide it, and we can go there tonight, it's cool. We could go there. If we want to divide it and say, all right, for black radio, for all black radio, what do we normally hear? Something about shooting, about some money, spend some money, get a car, everything is going to be rooted in something material, right? No relationships. Now, go to pop radio. Polar opposite. Even think about the rhythm and think about the tone. I'm big on tones and rhythms. Like everything, trap music be hitting hard. I love working out the trap music. It's like, but when it comes to what you're listening to in the car and how your life is going, you'll see some of the similarities of what you're listening to on the radio play out in your life. You're gonna see it. I promise you're gonna see it somewhere. Even if it's just a mindset. Like, I think for one period of time I was just listening to Drake over and over because it was just hitting. Like, it was good music. So I was like, yo, I like how it sounds sonically. But then when you think about the toxic level of relationship he speaks on a consistent basis, you start to slowly adopt some of those ideas. You do. I promise you do. So, last but not least, fellas, I want y'all to encourage each other, right? Reason I say that is this: encourage, love, be the best you can. That's I got in my notes, but I'm gonna tell y'all how I feel. I think if we get a lot more fellas bringing in the young guys, the older guys, and showing them, yo, bro, this is what you could do to make money. That's the easiest one. But when we start getting to that, when it's a healthy relationship, hey, bro, how do you view your mom? Start talking about that stuff. How do you view your dad? Okay, oh, wow. Did your dad have some type of animosity towards your mom? Okay. How did you treat that? How did you feel about that when that happened to her? Okay. All right. How do you feel like your dad felt about that? Oh. And fellas, just start asking questions. Ask questions. I think when we start asking questions, we'll get to a real healing standpoint. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. I got a lot going on. But we'll get to a healthy standpoint where we start actually processing things in a positive manner. Like, I think that's the only thing that's missing. We got to have people that's holding each other accountable for the stuff that we do and the way we think. Because I think what's happening right now with this disposable man concept is we're going to keep feeding it. No matter what, we're going to keep feeding it because, one, it looks attractive to us. It looks attractive for us to have the Bentley, to have the Cuban links, to have the furs, to have the baddest chick. Even in that, like, our view on what beauty is has been distorted over and over, right? What women think men look at as beauty is not what we look at as beauty. And I think we have to get to the point where we are able to listen to each other and relay the message. I think if we relay the message, Dr. Miami might not be making as much money on them BBLs. All the teeth people, yeah, I want to get my teeth fixed too, but all the teeth people won't be spending all that money on carnal stuff. The stomach shrinking people. I know I'm hitting everybody. I'm sorry, yo. Like, that's just how I feel. Like, we are feeding the pockets of people that capitalize on our insecurities. Point blank, period. And I think the faster we are having these conversations, the faster we're able to save money, have healthier relationships, have healthier communication, and live healthier lives. And hopefully we do that before the robots take over. All right, till next week, yo. It's been real. Make sure. Oh yeah, this my challenge. I want to do a challenge. So I heard Patrick Bet-David talk about how I think he said for a year or two. I think it was 2 years. But either way, for a year or two, he went on a radio fast. What that looked like was he listened to nothing but positive ebooks, podcasts, good songs, positive songs, and did that for a year straight. No radio. No drama, no trauma. What that mean? No news, no negative reinforcers, none of the negative stuff. That's all he did for a year. I want to challenge the fellas to do that. All my Facebook guys, please chime in. I want y'all to do that with me for the next month. Try it for a month. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna give y'all a short story. So for a good, it's probably going on. I started in 2017. I started listening to nothing but positive stuff. Jim Rohn. If y'all know who Jim Rohn is, look up Jim Rohn's positive speaker, powerful speaker. If you're in the church, TD Jakes, he has a lot of good stuff. Steve Harvey, of course. Listen to my podcast. We talk about a lot of positive stuff. And just feed yourself with positive material over and over. I did this since 2017. In 2017, I had already went broke. No, I went broke 2015, before 2015, right? Went broke, started listening to positive stuff, started changing my mindset. My mindset before that was, let me get a placement, let me get another placement, because I just did Eminem, so I can do at least a Jay-Z placement, Beyonce placement, whatever. But my mindset was wrong. It was terrible, because I was thinking, look, I get this placement, I can pay my rent for another couple months. After I do that, I'll do it again. And that's what happened. The cycle kept continuing over and over and over. So I came up with a bright idea. After listening to the positive influences, I came up with the bright idea to do a handyman business, right? I said, I know how to do a few things here and there. My handyman business consisted of light fixtures, drywall, and putting up doors, right? I went from being negative broke, like negative $200 because the bill would hit, the money would be in the account, so you get an overdraft fee, but the bill was paid. That's the type of money that I had at the time. I went from that to making $250 a day. From $250 a day to I started going to $1,000 a week roughly. From $1,000 a week, now I started going into being able to get my contractor's license. Got my contractor's license. I started a business with the LLC, got the tax ID, started flipping houses. First house I flipped was $35,000. Was it 35, 32? It was 35, 32. One of them. But anyway, I took a loss on that house, dude. It was terrible. I did a terrible job pricing that house, but we got done with it. It was finished. Went from that to start developing relationships with hedge fund companies. The hedge fund company feeds my business properties over and over. And guess what? Now I have a staff. I have people that I pay. I have a crew of people that help me work on houses. And we just flip houses. But I still have a 9-to-5 because I'm sorry. I'm going to leave a 9-to-5 at some point, but I can't do it right now. Like, I do decent. But I just want people, especially the fellas. I want especially the fellas to understand, like, yo, you can get to exactly where you want to be. Like, 6 figures sounds like it's a big jump. It's not that bad. It's not a super, super big jump. The only difference between making, I think my first real job as an adult, I think I was making $31,000 for the year. $31,000 for the year. And I saw that and I was like, oh, it's decent. But then I saw 35 in one property. So like, ooh, it just hit different. But that 35 on one property took a year for me to hone in on the mindset. For me to hone in on how do I build the relationships for the people I need to know. To make me believe in myself that I could do 35 in a month. Like, it took a year, and I'm going to say about 2 years almost, for me to just switch. Right? My brain was just music producer, period. I couldn't see me doing anything else differently. Now, I've written 2 books. The Recession Prep Kit is one, and Playbook to Production is the other one. I wrote 2 books. I coach people now. I have, like I said, a decent house. You know, I don't boast and none of that kind of stuff, but it's decent. And everybody in my family is doing well. And I want everybody else that's listening to me to do well as well. So Yeah, let's go on this radio diet. Let's go on this radio diet for a year. We can start out with 2 months. I'm cool with that. Please make sure y'all comment, y'all tag yourselves on any of the posts. Let me know that you're doing the challenge. I would love to see it. Um, and also just follow the page. I'm gonna be posting some positive things for y'all to look at and kind of digest. I got some books that y'all should look at also. The Richest Man in Babylon is one. Um, Rich Dad Poor Dad. No, Rich Dad Poor Dad first. Read Rich Dad Poor Dad first, then Richest Man in Babylon, then Think and Grow Rich. Those 3 books right there. Thank me later. Thank me later. All right? Y'all get it? All right, I'm out, yo. I'm out. It's been real. I love y'all. And y'all stay positive, stay blessed, and see you next week. Peace.